I won't be home for dinner.
Right here I'm working on my floor pans and I'll kind of show you what I'm doing. Got a lot of tools out, need to clean up, but anyways, there are the first few panels, and the first panels here are actually welded in. The way you want to start your panels is work based off of a 1 point, weld those solid or put them in solid, and then you work your way around, taking one piece at a time. You can see here that I have, I don't know if you can tell, but these holes in this cross member are tapped. And right now I'm kind of just leaving the metal in the rough stage. I'll go through and clean up all the edges and make it all round and pretty once it's all fit up. And then one important thing is this offset. So you can see that there's an offset in this piece. Sorry, there's an offset in this piece. See that right there? I did that with the bead roller so that the other pieces that sit on top of this sit flat. So it goes under there. Also adds strength because they're obviously resting on each other. So what I do right here for this next piece, since I'm making this all removable, is I basically did the same thing here and I ground this down so that it's all flush everywhere. And then I push it down, and this is like another shelf basically for the next piece. Now you can see right there, there's the offset, and then there's actually a cutout, so this actually sits flat. These two are completely flat with each other, and then this is flat with this cross member here. The next piece I have laid out is going to rivet or be welded to this piece. I made it in two pieces because it's easier to make this in two pieces with straight cuts than it is to try and use a cutoff wheel and make nice clean cuts, because if you have an L shape you can't actually cut it out on a break, you have to use a cutoff wheel. So what I did for that was I bought a pack of TAGBOARD, and I've been making kind of stencils for the ones that I think I need. Now you can see in here, you get the point, I have it notched out there for the roll cage. And you can see along there, that is where that lip is sitting. See, you can see the lip there. So now that I have this and it fits in there pretty well, I can take this template and I have my piece of metal 10 by 7 cut out, and starts off square, and now all I have to do is line up all the edges, mark this, and trim it out with cutoff wheel or whatever. I do it with the paper first because the paper is easier to modify. You don't waste any material this way. Tagboard's cheap, metal's not that cheap. So, and this is a lot less time. Time is money, of course.
Here comes another one.
So you can see I have that panel in there, and I have all the button heads started. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the other side. Now the other side is slightly different, just because I'm not perfect. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the old template, and you can see that when I lay it in here, it's pretty close to the right size, except it's a little short here, and it's a little short on this side. So what I did was I just took another piece of paper, cut it a little bit bigger. So now you can see that, say if I use this for example, this paper's got to be trimmed, but you can see that I have extra on this side and extra on this side. So I will use my notch as my centering point, and then I'll trim these based on fitment with the piece of paper, and then I'll transfer it over to the metal. I think it's turning out pretty good. Looks pretty nice. I'll add some bead rolls to all the finished stuff, and it'll be flatter because right now these aren't bolted in. They're just, whoops, they're just sitting there, just so that the holes are getting centered basically. Yeah, so that's that. Now I just got to finish the other side, and then I can go back to the back, which is gonna be a real pain in the ass because of the shocks, which are gonna move slightly, and also because of this air tank, because I have to have a drain on this tank, which it has to be accessible, so that's going to be another pain in the rear. Basically, now that I have this side done and I know it works, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So here is my other panel. Goes in here like so. Just a second. Okay, so what I did here was I took and I lined up the edge right here with the lip and the metal. You can see I lined it up approximately here, so it's about like that, right? And then I took a scribe and I marked along the outside right here, so that is going to signify where my lip needs to drop down. Now this might be kind of hard to follow, but I did. If I want to step this down so the edge of the step is right where this is marked, I'm going to have to actually cut out some of this so that this can notch down like the other side. And then right here you can see I have this marked to cut out, so I can notch it down so that it's flush with this. Now, you could theoretically have it like this, but it's not going to be completely flush all the way. These are little details that take some time to perfect, but if these two pieces are flush and then you have one piece over the top, then the whole thing is flush with each other. So this is just a little extra time, but it's well worth it. So here's my bead roller. This is the die set that I used to put in the offset. Now, the easiest way to do this is, see I scribed the line where that offset is, and what I did was I took, oh boy, this is gonna be difficult. I'm holding my tripod with my legs right now. I took a caliper and I measured the distance there, and it's just under an inch. So I set my dial caliper, I set the set screw right there. And what I do now is I come over here, and I already have this set, but what I do is I basically take my caliper, and there's the stop on the left there, right there, you can see the stop, and there is the edge. It's very easy to set that. Now I have this set, and I can run this through, making sure to keep this end against the fence, obviously. Now, be careful when you're doing this, because it's easy to put the offset the incorrect way. For this one, I am going to have to flip my piece so that the underside is up. Sometimes it helps to mark the underside if you're not completely confident with the part. Just think about it. You know, you can visualize how these dies are going to come out. And then also when you do something like this, you want to make sure that you have this depth set the same every time. So say if you have it set right here and then you have to raise it up one turn, just make sure you did one turn so that every one is the same depth. Usually you want it to be set according to the depth or the thickness of your metal, so I usually set it to about 16 gauge. This is 18 gauge right here, or 20 gauge I think. 18 or 20, either way. Set it, forget it, but don't forget it. So here I have a piece, practice piece, and I'll just check my setup here, make sure it's kind of what I want. Obviously that wasn't enough, so now go turn, bring it back through. It's not perfect, but this is just a test piece. Now you can see there's the offset there that we were looking for. And now I'm actually going to measure this up against what I actually need here so that I can make sure that this is set properly and that everything else kind of works out. Now that is about the right depth. It's kind of hard to see, but you might be able to tell it's about the right depth for the offset. So I can probably go ahead and do this piece the way I need to do it. Making sure I have the offset the correct way. I've been on here a long time, so I'm just making sure that, that I'm not messing up here. So now that I have most of the bolt-in panels on this floor pan actually done, I'm going to actually start using rivets. So in order to use rivets, obviously I'm sure you know what rivets are, but I'll show you. Rivet is just a, basically they come in aluminum or steel and they have a shank that pulls through and it pulls the metal here and expands it to hold stuff into place. You can use these, but when you're mocking stuff up, you're actually making them permanent if you use a rivet, unless you want to drill them all out. So what people use instead is Clecos. They're spelled C-L-E-C-O-S, or some people spell them with a K and C-L-E-K-O-S. Basically all it is a little pin that you take with a pair of Clecos pliers, and it has a little center section that pulls it closed. These are 1/8 inch Clecos. So how they work, say I have a 1/8 inch hole that I popped in here, and I have 2 panels for example. I would press this in, it pulls out the forks, then you press this in and release and it pulls it tight. So now you can see this will hold your rivets into place temporarily, and then when you want to take it out and actually rivet it all together permanently, push it in, pulls right out. Now in order to get an easy hole, you can use one of these hole punches. Now these hole punches I've shown you before, basically all it does is takes your sheet metal and has a punch in there and you punch a hole. See, now there's 2 holes in it. So again, you can take 2 Clecos, put them in, strong enough to hold everything in place so everything's accurate, and then once you're done, just pull them out. Easy as that. So right now it's day 3. I got about 30 hours into this, believe it or not. It's a lot of little piddly stuff. Still needs to be finished as far as like finishing touches. Rounding the corners nice, bead rolling, whatever. But it's pretty much well mocked up right now. You can see today I had got all these cleat up. These panels here. Got the edges ready for the next piece to come on right here. The back is gonna be a real pain. That'll probably be the last part I do. Tomorrow I'm gonna work on these and then work my way up and then eventually do the tunnel. A lot of this stuff is just planning. There's a lot of little fitment things that need to be addressed and on every piece, you know, so it takes a lot of time. And I'm a perfectionist, so. But that's that. It's turning out pretty good, I think. This is my first complete floor job, so it is taking me a little longer than it should, but it is what it is, so. It's almost 5:30 in the morning. I got about 36 or 37 hours or so into the floor now, and you can see I have a lot of it done, or pretty much done. It's all cut and fit, and it fits pretty nice. Got it all cleat in, so I can bead roll it and then rivet it, final rivet it.